Good morning and welcome to Family and Values, a program designed for the family. Here we talk about the family and what it takes to make a family, bordering on parenting, marriage, divorce, single parenthood, divorcees and men and women, culture, tradition, lifestyle, and how we should bring back our lost culture in our homes, in our families. Family is a structure, really, it is. But these days, we are beginning to see different things happening to homes and families. How are we going to revive broken homes, damaged homes? How are we going to bring back our children to where they should be instead of going out there and making a nuisance of themselves? Is it their fault? Is it the fault of the parents? Where have we failed? Fathers and mothers, the home generally. That's what this program is all about. Stay tuned. We take a break. When we come back, you get to meet my guest this morning.
Parenting in African homes. In the African system, parenting is again perceived to take lot of forms, which is able to lead a child to be a responsible adult. Though there are various parenting styles, there are ways in which African parent brings up a child in order for the child to imbibe the cultural values of the land and also be a responsible adult. Some of those forms of parenting are through storytelling, that's folktales, the extended family, traditional rites, and the mother's care, attention, and love. One may ask, are these cultural practices still in vogue? In view of that, African cultural values as far as parenting is concerned are being forgotten and Western practice is rather adopted. While all cultures have these and possible many other universal traits, different cultures have developed their own specific ways of carrying out or expressing them. So also is parenting. A culture is normally passed from one generation to another, from knowledgeable adults to learning child. Since the adult has imbibed the norms and practices of the culture from older, acculturated adults, this transmission is often simply through exposure and through example. The uniqueness of this system with regards to parenting in our traditional African communities is that the responsibility in taking the care of the child is not only to the biological parent. This is shared by all in the extended family. This is buttressed by the African proverb on parenting, which says that a single hand cannot nurse a child. This implies that although the mother has a responsibility of taking care of the child, the responsibility is being shared by all. It is intriguing to know that this system is where a brother trained a younger brother or sister, and they in turn help to train younger ones or older siblings' children. This is why it is even said that when parents are dead, a child would always have parent. This is because the extended family is there to cushion or parent a child. During storytelling, we will have the older ones telling the younger ones stories which depicted attributes such as giving, caring for one another, greed, selfishness, and so on. These elderly people serve as parents in their words of advice during the story times, which helps them to shape the younger ones. One will be reminded that the story time is always in the evening when the sun is set and all activities have come to a halt. Let us bear in mind that these stories are not told by parents alone, but by any adult who is depicted as responsive and caring and can impact good morals to the children. This even is evidence that parents are not the only caretakers of the child as he or she grows, but any adult in the community who is responsible.
Welcome back, still on Family and Values. My guest this morning is Bisi Ojolo, family counselor, marriage mentor, Institute of Marriage and Family Affairs, USA. Good morning, madam.
Good morning.
You're welcome.
Thank you
You're
for
welcome.
having me.
So, we're talking about parenting in African homes. You know, the African culture is community kind of culture, particularly Nigeria, not West, East or South. You just saw from the clip, they say it takes a woman to carry a child, but it takes the whole community to raise the child, because everybody's child is so, you know, that kind of environment. Yeah. And even when a child loses their parents, because sometimes you hear mother and father died on the same day, a child becomes an orphan, but there will always be someone to raise that child. be it in the family or the extended family. Yeah. So briefly, you just tell us what you feel about this topic, parenting in African homes, and if we are losing or we lost already, how we can revive. I'd like to hear you say this because viewers are watching.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a privilege, and I'm thankful for this.
Yeah.
So, as you've said, and from the clip, we could see that from time immemorial,
Yes.
it's not one person that
No.
will definitely nurture a child.
course.
You have it's African culture. Is
Yes.
We are communal in nature.
Exactly.
You know, everybody is there for you. You're not the only one. Even if the mother carries the baby, we have people that will surround her during the pregnancy stage.
Yes.
You know, to cater to her needs, to see that she's good and all those things. Even if the husband is not around.
Yes.
But as you said, we've lost a lot of these things. You know, the world is evolving. A lot of things are happening. But then there's something I usually ask myself: fine, the world is evolving, but all our wonderful values, do we have to lose them?
Do we have
Why
to?
not build on the good ones and then probably drop the ones that we think are not serving us anymore? Now let me start with this. Okay, we're talking parenting. Parenting has to do with you being able to, it's not just birthing a child biologically.
No.
But you're able to cater to the needs of children, nurture them, help them to go through life, support them as much as you can. And that's why we talk of the fact that you don't have to be the father or the mother before you can do this work. That, I would say, the way it was.
It was.
In the olden days.
In the
because
olden
today
days.
a lot of things are happening. You know, you give birth to a child, you are even scared of some persons in your community now because you don't know what could happen to that child. And it wasn't like that before.
No, no, no.
You know, we're talking about in the African setting, the way it used to be. So it has to be you are even happy, you want to go out, you know, you have the child, you know that there is someone you can drop the child with, and you won't be scared. But now we have a lot.
A lot is happening.
A lot is happening.
I can imagine.
And so you can't trust. You can't trust the next neighbor.
That is the
you can't
issue.
trust the next neighbor.
That is it. Sorry, darling. Trust. The issue of trust. Yeah. Like you said back in the day, particularly if a woman or a man is going to the farm, you know, because most Nigerian cultures is either farming or fishing, depending on the area that you come from. And this woman sees the other woman and say, neighbor, are you also going to the market or to the farm? No, today I say, I'm going to the farm. Your children? Oh, but of course, bring them. Bring them. When you come back, no problem. This next neighbor takes this neighbor's children. Do you know? If they are hungry, she will feed them. If they play rough, she will beat them. If she didn't beat them, but she will make sure they are okay until the mother comes back. And the mother goes, thank you. You know? So, but even then, at that time, if we're talking about witchcraft, even at that time, wickedness, all of those things were there. After all, it was Cain that killed Abel.
Yeah.
Whatever is happening today started yesterday. So there's this aspect of one neighbor is eyeing the other neighbor's children. It was there. But overall, is that kind of some sort of trust. Uncle, we have not eaten in the house, so my husband has not brought money. There is no, the uncle will say, your husband. Okay. This uncle will call his wife. Oh yeah, give them food. There was this kind of thing, you know. But you now said, these days, it's not even safe to give somebody's child biscuits.
Yes.
Because you give the child biscuit, and when the child starts coughing, the mother will say, who gave you biscuit? And then the mother points at you. There will be a crowd, you know. So, but even then, we're still talking about parenting. Yeah? We're still talking about parenting. Orphans survive, don't they? They do. They do. So with what is happening right now, there's high blood pressure, like one of my guests said. So mothers and fathers, because you can't even control your children. Your child will look at you in the eye and say, and so. Is that how it ought to be? So please, let's...
Okay, I would say, you know, the upbringing matters.
Yes.
The upbringing matters. You know, we're talking about our culture.
Yes.
Culture is the way of people. And there are a lot of things that factors that contribute to this culture we're talking
Culture,
about. We talk
yeah.
about our, you know, personality, our values. The values, it's universal.
Yes.
So because it was like that, it's still here today. So it's about upbringing, you know, and a lot of things would bring up those children for you if you're not careful.
That's-
You know, I used to have a mentor that would tell us something, that a lot of voices are speaking to your children, but make sure yours is the loudest. Yours has to be the loudest.
Ah.
Your own must be the loudest.
Ah.
So once yours is the loudest, wherever they get to, it will be like something is ringing. Whenever they have, probably won't. Let me take this for example.
Yes.
I remember I went to a boarding school in secondary school. People did a lot of things, but I couldn't do these things. Why?
Because of your background.
I would just say, whenever they say, daddy, in Yoruba, daddy bagbo, if daddy should hear. My father wasn't there. And funnily
You
enough,
see?
my father would come to school, drop my money, go away. I won't even see him. Not like people that even their parents come every month for our visiting days. My parents, they were not coming at that time.
You see?
But there was something in me. I remember there was a time someone told me the day my mother clocked 60 some years back, and I celebrated her. And the person was like, Stabisi, you still have a mother? I said, yes. Why? They always hear, I mean, they've always heard me say, daddy, daddy, daddy. Why? That will bring me into something. You know, we'll talk about African culture the way it's been before. You know, it's recently, with the knowledge I have, been a marriage counselor, and I know that we have styles of parenting. We have authoritative parenting. We have authoritarian parenting style.
Really?
Yeah.
You're going to explain to us?
I will do that.
Okay.
We have permissive parenting style, and then we have the neglectful ones. They're not just there. Now the authoritarian, I'm sorry that if you're watching, I would have to just, you know, it was during that time I know that my father's process was actually this authoritarian thing.
Authoritative.
Then I have a mother that was permissive.
Aha.
Now, again in parenting, you should have fairness and firmness. The both of you cannot be firm. Your children will not be able to come to you. And that's why we're having issue today. The two of them, they are not there. They are just, even when they are around, the children can look into their face to do things they want to do.
They cannot express themselves.
So that's why, like we're talking about the girl child. I mean, she sees this guy that is saying, you're beautiful, you're doing, and telling her those beautiful things. And she's tilted towards someone that is saying good things to her. Do you understand? Now I was talking about the authoritarian thing. Now an authoritarian is someone that has the rule. The rule has to be followed. You know, regulations are there. Any rule broken, you will be severely punished.
Okay.
Whatever the kind of punishment.
Okay.
And then it's it's so autocratic that I would say it could be tyrannical.
Wow.
Yeah. They don't even allow, even the mother might not be able to talk. Yeah. He has the final say.
Final say.
Final say.
Nobody else.
Military
Nothing
regime.
else.
That
kind of thing.
Kind of thing. Now, the authoritative. That one is, we have the fear, the firm. So the mother, the father, you're talking to the child, you have your rules, you have your regulations, but you allow the children to succumb because you see them as human beings, not like they are just babies that can't think on their own. Because that's what we see. These, you know, some persons, they just feel is a child. You can do everything. Just tell them what it is, and so that is the way it should be. But it's not so. So the authoritative, the balance is there, and so it's these people that the parents, I mean, the children, be able to come to them. They laugh together. They play together as one.
It's a lot of friendship,
So
love, bonding.
bonding, and they are able to trust their parents. So before, we're talking about abuse, so we'll still get there. Before that will happen, the girl child is you know, we're able to tell daddy, knows that, oh, if I tell mommy will hear, so I can tell daddy they're free. Very beautiful.
Yes.
Then we now have the ones that they are so neglectful. They don't care.
They
Their
don't
own is,
care.
I've given the money, you are fine.
You know,
so whatever you do,
whatever,
you just, that's
like
it.
some women say, I don't burn and finish.
I don't burn them.
I don't burn am.
Yes, I don't burn them.
What you burn am for?
You burn them for whoever. Anybody will go fear and do, you know, and that is it. Yeah, we have them. And then the fourth one, I talk about the permissive. Now the permissive, well, there are rules, but then
It's still
there's no
neither
problem.
here
You
nor
can
there.
just go like that, and that is it. But what do we have? I'm telling you, the best is the authoritative, because they are able to build a well-rounded child or children that will fit into society very well. They have a good and healthy self-esteem, and so they know who they are. They are self-aware. So even you're telling them things that, you know, this thing is not true, you can't just
They can stand.
You know, they can stand on their own. They can stand their ground.
But is that the ideal?
It's ideal.
Is ideal.
Now, I'm not talking about pride now.
No.
You understand? You
No,
know,
but
I
is
said something
pride
to people.
wrong?
No,
It's just that it's looking like arrogance.
Sort
But
of.
yeah.
But it's just that when you know you
are.
and
A lot
it's
of
not
people
like
mistake it
another
for
person
arrogance.
And it's not like another person is being affected by you being okay in your skin. Do you understand?
Okay.
You're okay with who you are. You're self-aware. And so with that self-awareness, because you grew up healthily, you're even able to better help people around you.
But
Because of the kind of
in a
upbringing.
situation like that, if the man, like your father, but your mother was like supportive, yeah. She wasn't exactly, or she isn't exactly like your father. So there has to be a balance.
That's what I'm saying. The fairness and the fairness in parenting. That's it. It has to be. If the two of you are the same, like it's the military thing. Mother is a soldier,
You know,
father
is,
soldier, and so everything.
you know,
I've said this and that is
that's
the
it.
The children can't talk, and you're even talking. They are jittery. I mean, they are so jittery. They are
You know.
shaking. They can't come to the both of you. That would be very, very delicate.
Delicate
That means when
and
they are going
dangerous.
through issues,
Yes,
they
they
can't
can't
come
come to anyone. Now, again, there's this school of thought that says opposites attract. That I would have thought girls were more closer to their mothers, but some people argue that, ironically, that girls are more attracted to their fathers. Is it true?
It is true.
Really?
My daughter is doing Michigan at home.
Are you kidding me?
I'm telling you. You know, even there was a day I had to say, this girl, like, you are my husband's girlfriend now.
What?
The way they will sit. There was a time I posted something on my Facebook. Like, see this guy. I said, I don't know when my husband and myself have sat like this before. And not just me, I've seen it with a lot of people. And that's why, you know, there's something with women that give birth to boys.
Boys.
We don't
All
understand
boys.
their pains.
Huh?
Because even when it gets to that stage, some persons are thinking, maybe because it is boy, they could. It gets to a stage, the boys, they grow too, and they think, now this thing. They want to for a child. They want to feel that particular thing you're feeling with your daughter too. I was speaking with a lady, and I was like, So there are times to call them moms. I mean, boys' mom. And they are not really. Well, they won't fight you, but they're not really happy with that thing. But they feel they could have that. But the truth is, this girl child, oh my God, they are the husband's second wife. At times, like side chick in the house. You know, you're talking and he's climbing my husband. And I've seen people talk. They told me the same thing. That's the way it is in their house.
But okay, it looks wonderful. It looks beautiful. I'm loving it already. You know, it's very critical, right? How you bring up your children.
Very, very.
You know. Okay, fine. There are cases of incest. Am I right?
Very right.
And that is happening. That is happening on a daily basis.
Even father to daughter.
That's what I'm saying. On a daily basis. The mother sees her daughter being very close to the father. It's awesome, you know. But if the mother is not very observant, and she's not very critical, and she's like, oh, they just... See, there was a story some time ago where the ideal home, mother, father, and a boy and a girl, you know, the victim is always the last to know. The boy and the girl are very close. Oh yes, everybody is like, this brother and sister, they are so close. But something was happening. The father, of course, the buffalo, like most times, he goes out. He has to go and bring money, is the one, you know. The mother also works. So she too, she goes to her place of work. Do you know that neighbors had started suspecting, but they didn't have the courage to approach her or their father? But this brother and sister, they were in a relationship. When the mother comes in, she always sees the brother and sister on the couch, you know, watching TV together and everything. Long story short, it was one very old woman that was still around the neighborhood that had the courage. She said, no, this can't continue. And then calls the woman. Are you noticing anything between your children, your son and your daughter? And she says, Mama, when I come back from work, they're always together. I said, yes, but please, she dropped it. Nigerians are very good, Africans are very good with proverbs and adages, particularly your place, my place too. Sometimes our mothers will be talking without opening their mouth. Body language. I know you know. Yeah, the way they cough, the way they sing. So she dropped it. And it just dawned on the woman. Long story short, the girl was already pregnant by her brother. This is supposed to be an ideal home. Hypothetically. Dropped a note that, I'm so sorry, I've done the worst, blah, blah, blah. I'm going, you will never see me anymore. I drops that note. It's the father now that comes and sees the note, then calls his wife. What is this? And the mother too. Before you know, the daughter herself, out of shame and all that, she too ran away. So, this parenting issue, most children come from broken homes, damaged homes. Is it their fault? Or is it the fault of the parents that have not done a good job? Because when you see a well brought up child, it's a beauty to behold. The way they carry themselves, the way they talk. It doesn't have to be from a wealthy background, because I've seen children from not so wealthy backgrounds, but because the structure was laid, was there. You just talked about the different aspects of parenting. Now, if you instill fear, because sometimes authority is good to have authority in the home, but if you know, sometimes if you don't check it, it becomes, now you begin to create fear in the children. So if the children cannot come to you, I've seen some girls that said they are closer to their father. They can even tell their fathers about menstruation. Their fathers buy them, the necessary, Why didn't you go to your mother? Well, whatever it is, it takes two. Yeah, it takes two. It's because we have misplaced priorities right now. Because even in the home, I don't know if it has to do with the economic situation, because if you talk of economic situation, our mothers those days, how wealthy were they when they, when they raised their children, when they raised us, how wealthy were they? So they just drop this. See, this is what I can afford. There's no meat, there's no fish. You will eat it. You dare not resist what your mother gives to you. But today, you bring soup, and the child, what is this? Your child is asking you, what is this? The next thing, he takes his phone, he takes his bag, he's going to an eatery. That's disrespect. But you're saying it, these are their times, it is their times, the child is behaving, he's just a child, the child is growing up, the child is growing up, the child now grows up to become an adult, he's still a child. Yes, our children cannot outgrow us. Yeah, no matter how tall the okra plant is, the owner will bend it. Yeah, but if you keep saying is a child, is a child, is a child, even at 40 is still a child, then he gets married. Now you're expecting magic. You didn't raise your son properly. Exactly. Then you expect somebody else's daughter to come and do what you should have done. Yeah, you raise your boys. No, you are a man. You are a man. No. Don't cry, you are the head of the family. You can't cook. Now you go to marry. Your wife can get pregnant. She can be having painful menstruation. She can be ill. And you can't cook. What happens? You can't even boil rice. Okay, if you can't boil anything, at least boil water.
You really, really touch on a lot of things.
Yes.
You would say, I have examples.
Yes.
And these are practical examples.
Please share it with us.
And it's myself. Now for our second child. When I was pregnant with our first child, I was everywhere. I didn't even know I was pregnant. I went for the test because I don't eat like you would think people should eat. But all of a sudden, whenever I got to work then, if I don't take something, it will be as if I wanted to faint. So I just said, what happened? So I went for the test. I was pregnant. That was what I needed. But then I was everywhere.
Where?
I was fine. But for the second, God have mercy. I'll say for the whole of the 9 months, I couldn't do anything.
See?
I could not do anything. As in, I looked at myself, BC, what else? I wasn't happy with myself because on this reason, I had it, I have a lot of things to do, I had a lot of things on my table, I want to do stuff. But thank God for my husband.
Very good
for
husband.
COVID. He was working from home, you know, the hybrid thing and all these things they were doing. He was the one cooking, doing all those things in the house. He will wake up early to bathe our first child, to take kids that will drive him to school.
Is he a Nigerian?
To the glory of God and Kitty man. Yes. God bless you, babes. You know, and I'm telling you, ma'am,
You see?
he was doing everything. I was even thinking, you're stressed, and I don't know, all of a sudden I started, you know, craving afang soup. He went to the market, bought the ingredients, asked the women that he didn't know how to cook this thing. They told him how to cook. My husband came home, cooked afang. I had the sweetest afang I ever eaten. You know, he did all these things.
Where is his mother?
Ekiti State, ma. And Mama will soon be in Lagos, I think this week or something.
You see what we're saying?
What happened?
What happened?
Foundation.
Upbringing.
Your child can never outgrow or overgrow you because they are, you know, Gen Zers, whatever, the millennial, we're Gen Zers.
As we are speaking now, they are calling us old-fashioned.
Oh, like I tell my children and you see, if you're calling your mothers, there is something they say in Yoruba. Even if you have more clothes than your parents, you can't have as much rag as they have.
Exactly.
Meaning the wisdom, the experience, the things they will tell you.
Exactly.
Those things are there.
A Yoruba man told me that. Exactly.
Yes. Now, what am I saying? He was able to fill in for those things.
See?
Do you know, there was a time I remember I heard that I wanted to eat Ofada. He went to work that day, and I ordered online. I think I spent with delivery and everything 17,000 something. And I was like, hey, 17,000. If we are doing this, because I know, I'm saying this because I know my generation, and I know people are watching us and they will say, hey, we can order food now. Why not pay for whatever?
Chinese
you can
restaurants.
order, but if you are someone that can think. For the whole of 9 months, I mean 9 months, I couldn't do anything.
You see?
Now, if you were ordering food every week for, let's even say 20,000, 30,000, multiplied by the number of weeks, that means for one pregnancy of 9 months, we have used mansion. We don't chop mansion for a tummy. So you understand what I'm saying? So it's about parents understanding that nothing like boy child, girl child, they are children. They are children. So train them, and that's why the Bible says train up a child in the way they should go. And when they are old, they will not depart from that. That means there is a way a child should go, and there is a way a child should not go. And if you don't train them, they will go the way they are not meant to go.
Thank you, sweetheart. Now, from what you're saying, the background, the home training, the structure is well laid. The foundation is well laid. Okay, so now we're talking about influence. The most powerful thing I know is the power of influence. The company a man keeps determines what accompanies them. Most children have gone astray because they kept the wrong company. That I know. You would hear, when you hear, you say, hey, but I know the parents of. How come? You mean that child is, you know? So that's what we're saying. Now, we're still talking about the structure. You see, your husband, because his mother did a good job, he can do this for you. But if he has bad friends around him, they will call him woman rapper.
You don't chop.
They don't chop. They don't put something.
They don't
charm you. A man is caring for his wife. Then they will turn it around. Mindset. Orientation.
And that's why we need reorientation.
We
need to change mindset of people to know that. And it's what we do too with this family thing. A lot of, let me set an example.
Yes.
A woman called me some years ago. What happened? They were in a particular city before they moved to Lagos. And so where they moved to now, the husband, they've been one family, doing church together, doing nothing like gender specific roles and all those. They were doing things and they were fine. But then they moved to Lagos. their estate, there is one particular man now, the husband started keeping friends with, and so he will go to them. All of a sudden, he noticed that whenever she's cooking in the kitchen, the man will just be in this room, slouching and just doing as he likes. And I was like, I think they had 3 children. And 2 under 2 at that point. So they were 3 toddlers.
And we have a Zoom guest this morning. Our Zoom guest is Adebukola Olowoyeye, marriage and relationship counselor, live from Lagos. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Adebukola.
Can you hear me?
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Good morning, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear. Yeah. Talking about parenting in Africa, in Nigeria especially, peculiar. I can say it's unique because to a large extent.
But generally in African homes. Okay, let's break it down to Nigeria as it concerns us directly.
Yeah, there are 2 sides to it. Anyways, some will see the good parts, and some will also point at the bad side of raising kids in Africa, the African home.
Yes.
But I like to take the good sides of all situations. Let me start with the bad side that a lot of my friends abroad will complain about when you talk about parenting in Africa. It has got to do with corporal punishments. You know, they are totally against it when you raise your hands, on your child or your children just to correct them or have an impression that is totally wrong, is condemnable, that you shouldn't raise your hands on your kids while trying to correct them, which I totally agree to some extent. But talking about the average Nigerian parents, and trying to instill culture, discipline into their kids. I think for us in this part of the country, this part of the world, I think we are doing the best, as regards that, because I have a friend in the United States of America that once complained to me that he wants to send his kids back home to Nigeria, perhaps to do their high school education, because he thinks that the morals, discipline is all gone over there in developed countries, that he cannot correct his children, he cannot train them the way he was being raised here in Nigeria. That is totally frustrating for him, that any little thing, the child might just threaten to call 911, and it's kind of frustrating to him that he wish he can bring his children back home for like some 5 or 6 years here to get the normal, proper upbringing, the African, Nigerian kind of upbringing. So, however, still talking about parenting in Nigeria, I still like the way we grew up. I like the way we grew up in the traditional Nigerian home, where, like, for instance, in my own tribe, as a Yoruba boy growing up, while you have to greet so many aunties, you have to greet so many aunties, so many uncles in the family. In that way, it grooms you to be loyal. It grooms you to be respectful. And even talking about how I grew up, even now till date, somebody renders a service to me. Before you know it, I'm saying thank you. All of a sudden, subconsciously, I'm thankful, I'm grateful, because that's the way I'm raised. So, but the challenge is now for the 21st century, the average Nigerian parent is that I often tell people that parenting now is the most difficult, if not, it's one of the most difficult things to do, because we are in social media era, we are the internet era, so it takes a lot. It's more difficult now to be a parent. But holistically speaking, I think our upbringing as Nigerians or parenting is kind of unique. I've not seen anything close to it in anywhere in the world. Hello.
So then, in all of this, how best do we nurture children in this environment? Yeah, we can't beat them anymore. We can't, because it's like that was your time. If you want to talk, tell me don't. I mean, before you even raise the kid, the child is like, they become defensive, you know. So is it okay for us to forget that era of beating? Some parents actually went overboard, you know, hitting their children as if they are hitting a brick wall, using stones, I mean, all sorts of things. We are not in support of that. But we're talking about when a child does wrong, like my guest here this morning has even specified the different aspects of parenting, you know. So if we bring it back to now, the Gen Zs, the whatever they call them, how best can we still instill discipline without going the archaic way? How can we best communicate with these children? So, sir, what's your take on this?
Yeah. Like, going to school, you know, that this to set money, you know. So it's just a look on the sometimes you have that's but those times are really bad, and it's actually to me as a coach, as a life coach, the best way to nurture your children is to constantly human beings too, they have to some extent they can read, you know, for you know, I just leave my heart in school and work with after I moved all them and I give reasons why they are in school. So I tell them the reasons why being, you know, they are not good, you know. One of the best ways to sit them down, okay, you know, no matter how really will be as a parent, there's a way you should have to study each and how to communicate them and when they're being wrong. To me, to nurture them, the best is to talk to them and these never be parents because when you be a child today,
Okay, sir. I'm also looking at the angle of influence. Some parents have done well, particularly the mothers. They have done so well, you know, just when they are relaxing to say, at least I did my part. All of a sudden, the children turn out differently from the home training that was given to them. Yeah, because they go out. As far as I'm concerned, social media has made it worse. That's my take. That's my opinion. Because before now, there was no social media. And we raised children properly. Okay? So now they say the world is evolving. Okay, so we evolve with it. I'm talking about the aspect of influence on good jobs. You know, when they go out, they tell themselves things. You know, they begin to bully and intimidate. So the structure, the homes that these good children come from, can they withstand the temptation out there, the bad influence, because they keep influencing each other? There's this latest thing on IG now, influencer. Most of these influencers are being killed on a daily basis. They die. It's only the successful ones that we see. And so there's a lot of deceit and deception. That is why the parenting is very important. That the children should have trust in their parents. They should be free to talk to their parents, so that when they are going astray, their parents should be able to put them right. She said something that even when the father is not there, the Yoruba culture, which I totally agree with, that she's hearing her father's voice, but the father is not there, but she's hearing the voice. If you're not hearing your father's voice, you should hear your mother's voice, but you're not hearing any voice, and then you are just going wrongly, going astray, because this is our time. You don't have money, you go to an eatery, you go and eat, expecting someone else to pay for you. What if the person doesn't show up? Then you say, I called, hey, the person is calling. There's been cases like that. Thank you so much. Our Zoom guest, thank you so much. Adebukola Olowoyeye, thank you. We appreciate you. We'll always appreciate you because you are so realistic on this topic, coming from a father's angle. Thank you. Thank you so much. Good morning. Family and values. And I still have my guest here with me, Mrs. BC Ojolo, family counselor, marriage mentor, Institute of Marriage and Family Affairs in the USA. Wow, your CV is so large. I'm shaking. Yes. We've touched. It's today that I even got to know that there are different areas of parenting. When you want to instill discipline, you might just end up losing, because if you are not careful, they see this, they become afraid, right? Yeah, okay. So now, in this present day situation, both parents are working. The father is working, the mother is working. The income is not enough. The mother has to support the father financially. No, it will be mean for her to just stay there. How much can the man bring? So in a situation where both parents are working and the children, they have to go to school, yeah, so some parents just see school as a dumping ground. There was a counselor who is also a lecturer in LASU. He said most young boys and girls in LASU, you just, by their ways, by their character, you just know that their parents dumped them there. Now I want to hear from you. The viewers would like to hear from you. Is it wise leaving home training to school teachers?
You know, everybody is a teacher.
Okay.
But not everybody will be a parent. I'm trying to mind my word. That's why I use the will. Because parenting is an ongoing thing.
It is.
And it's learned at times. It could be a skill that you learn. And so the teacher got trained to be who he is or who she is now, teaching in a school. So for the parenting thing, there is this thing in everybody, but there is a place of it being that these children are yours. They have what they need to do for your children. Okay, I'm your math teacher, I'm this teacher, and that is where their work ends.
That's
Even
where
if
it
you're bringing
ends.
someone home to come and do home lessons and all these things, it is what it is. You are the parent. You need to do the work. And not just schools. People do that to Sunday school teachers in church. They think the church can help nurture their children.
Yes.
You know, I don't know what one, was it a movie or even a live story that I watched sometime, I heard some times ago. The child was saying some things in school and the parents were fighting the children. I heard from the school. No, it was from the school. We are Christians. We brought our children home. And when they asked the child, said, hey, my mom usually on one station in the house. That was where I heard it from. And I think the thing was kind of sexual and so gory like that.
See?
So what am I saying? The whole thing about parenting still boils down to the parents sitting down.
Back.
You're talking about the this economic situation. It's always been like that. Even during our parents' time, but they were able to sit down. It's about communication.
Of course.
Sit down, discuss,
of
brainstorm
course.
as husband and wife.
Of
what
course.
can we do?
Like we say in my area, there's a proverb that says the woman with the hunchback knows how she's marrying her husband. Even then, when they say when the man is talking, don't talk. There's a way a woman can still influence. There's a way. After all, she's the body, the man. There's a way she can still get her husband to listen to her.
So it's
You see,
sitting down to talk,
to communicate.
You can see the issue of Japa that is happening now. Everybody wants to travel out. Not minding your living. One woman called me. The husband has gone for how many years, and she doesn't even know her face or anything. And she's just there. And seeking advice and all those. Then I told her some things. She was like, now the issue is, this issue of people releasing sex tape, the other one wants sex tape and all those things.
You see?
It's about communication.
You see?
We need to just sit down,
Well, okay.
talk about
Yes.
it, and know what is good
Good
for
for-
an individual family. It might be good for that person, and it's only good for
It's
you.
all about
And
you.
the children
Exactly.
are important.
Exactly.
to the
It's all
structure
about
and
you.
to our society.
It's all about you. If you don't talk to your children, somebody else is talking to him out there, and you will never know who is talking to your children. So you do the talking, you do the work. At least Providence will. Anyway, that's how it has been this morning on Family and Values, and I want to thank you so much, ma'am. I want to thank you. Oh my God, I'm sure a lot of people listen to you this morning, they will begin to know what it means to make a family. Are you even prepared to make a family? Let's give it a thought. That's how. Thank you so much,
It's
madam.
my
Thank
pleasure.
you.
Thank you
Thank
for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. All right, that's a wrap for Family and Values this morning. My name is Barbara Soki.